Map RNG is one of the strangest and yet most intriguing aspects when it comes to Dead by Daylight. It's often argued that map RNG should be retired and instead have more static versions of every map. I personally believe that if every map had static spawns, that maps would become much more boring and predictable. However, I do agree that removing a lot of the map RNG could result in more fair and balanced maps, but at the same time, I still believe that having some form of chance for how a map spawns is an important ingredient to keeping everyone on their toes. But even to that point, it's a huge double-edged sword when you have RNG in a game like Dead by Daylight, because it can really decide how you do in a match, and that's because the map RNG is very, very weird sometimes. You can get really good spawns and really good pallets or maze tiles, and sometimes you get really unlucky and you get the worst spawns possible and then you're dead in 2 seconds. And there's one map in DBD's realms that has really kind of been very weird when it comes to the RNG for a while now, and that map is Dead Dawg Saloon. This map is really just a hot mess when you think about it. The main building is very strong if you know how to loop it. There's a gallows 3-gen that almost always spawns, and then there's the maze tiles for this map. For the longest time, this map never really spawned any of the standard or classic maze tiles that you typically see on a lot of the legacy maps, but recently within the last year or so, Dead Dawg Saloon is now able to spawn things like jungle gyms. I think a lot of the old map logic and RNG that was coded into this map has not really translated very well when it comes to these new, quote-unquote new, standard maze tiles that were now thrown into this map that can have the chance to spawn. And a perfect example of what I'm talking about is I just had a match on Dead Dawg Saloon right when the Jason chapter launched, and shortly into this match I realized that there was a very weird map logic spawn for a particular maze tile. What is this mega loop? What the fuck? So yes, as you can see, this map spawned a very weird, oversized version of a jungle gym. And I'm almost 99% certain that this is not a new bug of any kind, it's just something that can very rarely happen. But I just find it very interesting how this is even possible in the first place. But even going beyond just that it's a possibility, I find it interesting that this is even just okay, like for a map to spawn something like this, because I know damn well if something like this spawned on Macmillan or Coldwind or Autohaven or Asylum, any map that can spawn a jungle gym maze tile, if something like this spawned on any of those realms, this would be a big issue, and understandably so. Tiles like this are not supposed to spawn, and having an oversized version of a jungle gym, which is one of the strongest tiles in the game, mind you, is just not something that should be possible. So I asked the question, is it because it's Dead Dawg Saloon, one of the more favorite maps of the player base, that it's just kind of brushed over? Is it just like understood as like, oh, that's just Dead Dawg, that's how it works? And like I said before, I think Dead Dawg Saloon has a lot of weird map logic and issues with the RNG that was coded into this map when it was first brought into the game, and we've seen that with the Blood Moon event where a lot of the blood pumps were spawning all in a group towards the edge of one side of the map. So for some weird reason, Dead Dawg Saloon is just always cursed when it comes to the map logic of things, or just in general with the RNG of everything. Now, because this oversized jungle gym spawn is probably very, very rare, I don't think this is a huge deal or anything. However, I do think it's just very weird how this is even possible in the first place. I mean, if I had the opportunity this match, I would have definitely ran to this window to use it and try to see how long I could actually, you know, get value out of this oversized jungle gym, but I never really had the opportunity this match. But yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to give an example of some weird map RNG that I've seen with this map in particular, because it's always been one that I've found to be very just bizarre when it comes to how things can spawn. If you've seen any weird map RNG things like this before, let me know in the comments, because I'm very curious to know what else is possible when it comes to how things can spawn on this map. And I'm sure someone has seen some very strange maze tile spawns like this before. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.